The 3.7-mile, 17-turn Sebring International Raceway is a one-of-a-kind thrill ride. Laid out on the site of the former Hendricks Field Air Base, the track hasn't changed much in its 7 decades of history, and it's still as big of a challenge for man and machine alike today as it was when it opened in 1950. Hello and welcome to the next stop on the calendar for Pirelli GT4 America. Sebring International Raceway, cars already on track for their formation laps as we get ready to go. The season starting to draw to a close. My name is Ryan Marine. We'll have Amanda Music down in the pits, and sitting alongside for the ride today is Calvin Fish. And Calvin, this GT4 field strong as ever, up and down the grid, great teams, great drivers, championship battles still up for grabs in most of the classes, but it's sure going to be a fierce one out here in the heat of the day in Central Florida.
It's going to be a tough one, but there are a couple of the teams that are on the verge of clinching a championship. Certainly in the AM class, James Clay, Charlie Poston's been a tremendous season. They got an 81-point lead. They maintain that, or even a 75-point lead at the checkered flag tonight. The championship will be theirs. Silver is a commanding lead by Filgueras and Stephen McAleer, and they've been on top form again this weekend. But in Pro-Am, it is really tight. We've got 4 teams within 44 points, and the lead is separated by just a mere 8 points right now.
Yes, exciting to say the least, with just 4 races left on the calendar. A pair of them here in Sebring, 2 in 2 weeks' time at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to close things out. You can see the starting grid flashing up on the screen as we get set to turn them loose for the first 2 races here this weekend. Talk about that battle in the Pro-Am. 4 drivers really in the mix. I think you might be able to extend it down to 5 if you want to be generous to the Kit and Cook, Brian Putt driver tandem. They're in that 5th spot, but you just never know what to expect when we turn up on one of these race weekends. Even day to day, it seems like the form book can change.
It can, and we've had a little bit of too much argy-bargy in recent rounds, so the drivers were given a good dressing down in the drivers' meeting here this weekend. Penalties are going to be extreme if there's too much contact, so hopefully that will clean things up a bit, because this racing can be tremendous, but we're seeing way too much caution flag racing of late.
One car that figures to be well ahead of any of that argy-bargy would be the pole-sitting car, RS1, the team. Eric Filgueras and Stephen McAleer, who appear to be en route to a championship of their own. They qualified on pole by nearly 1.2 seconds over their next closest competitor in a BOP class, and ahead of a lot of cars of similar make. That is almost unheard of. Really remarkable what they were able to do this morning.
And what was remarkable is then Stephen McAleer put that same car on the pole, and the difference between the 2 teammates was like 0.03 of a second. So that's how tight they are and how well matched they are. So Eric Filgueras done a tremendous job. They've won a ton of races this year, but he is now displaying the ultimate pace that Stephen McAleer has had all year. So a great job by this young man.
The car that is set to challenge from the outside of the front row has been their closest competition this season. The Conquest Racing car, Mackay Stevens and Gavin Sanders. Mackay Stevens qualified the car for the race here today, that Mercedes-AMG GT4 that will start to the outside of the RS1 Porsche Cayman. Behind them, great qualifying effort by Johann Schwartz from Rooster Hall Racing. He's the pole sitter in the AM class, but will start 3rd overall. In fact, the pole sitter in Pro-Am, Moise Uretsky, is back in 6th overall in that 55 Aston Martin. You can see just briefly coming through the shot. So many stories to tell, and we've got an hour to do it. A 1-hour, 2-driver sprint here with a pit stop in the middle just for the driver change, and it's about to begin at one of the iconic venues on the planet, Sebring International Raceway. The field into the VP acceleration zone, and we are racing. Filgueras with a great start. Johann Schwartz from the 2nd row. He'll challenge for 2nd overall. It's 3, 4, 5 wide further back as they filter into turn 1.
Yeah, great job there by Johann Schwartz in the dark-colored BMW. Stevens tries to go around the outside. He's going to get squeezed there, maybe lose 2 spots. Someone's off and on deep in the pack.
Yes. That'll be interesting to get sorted out. It looks like they do so cleanly. The 51 car, that's Austin Smith challenging for position. One of the silver class cars, fighting with Mackay Stevens for 2nd in class.
Uretsky's had a good start there. He's up into position 5, coming off a brilliant GT America win earlier in the day.
Just a massive field of cars, 31 in all. And this could get interesting. Into the brake zone for the hairpin. Turn number 7 for the first time. The front group make it through cleanly, but look at this. They stack up 2 by 2 further back in the pack.
Charlie Poston's there, a mega move, our AM class leader right now in the championship. Putting that Bimmerwell car back up into the position 5 inside Uretsky there at the brake zone.
And that's left Uretsky vulnerable. Adam Adelson in that Porsche taking a look to the inside. Premier Racing, the team. Couldn't get the pass made, though, and has to settle back in line. He's one of those that's fighting for the championship, coming in with an 8-point edge, along with his co-driver, Elliott Skier.
Lots to play for here. But up front, look at Eric Fulgeris. He's just taken off here. Coming off a DNF at the last round of the championship at Road America, that kind of diminished their massive championship lead a little bit, gave some hope for the Conquest Racing team. Had a suspension brake going through the carousel there. Luckily, not a high-speed sector of the racetrack. They were able to arrest the speed and bring the car to a halt. That's really been the first blip on their radar all season long.
No question about that. Only twice have they failed to win a race this season. That's how good they've been. 8 out of their 10 starts they have won. Just the 1 DNF, the only blemish, the only non-point scoring result on the calendar so far for Eric Fulgeris and Stephen McAleer. Sprint out to a lead as they have seemingly all season long. The Community Beer Works Porsche of Naples, Porsche Cayman, with the lead of 1.3 seconds over the AM class leader, who runs 2nd overall, Johann Schwartz.
Schwartz is really showcasing what that Rooster Hall team are capable of doing. Just a great little team. Great to see Johan back at the front of the pack as well.
So used to seeing that during all of his years in touring car competition, multi-time class champion in the TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School Series, and proven to be a quick study as he steps into GT4, helping to coach his co-driver Todd Brown along. Todd not with the same level of experience as Johan. So the results haven't necessarily been there consistently, but they've shown flashes, and this is certainly one of them.
Every opportunity you give Johan to take it to the front, he's going to grab it with both hands. Really impressed with Charlie Poston's start here. On 2nd in AM, 5th overall on the road. Nice bold move on that opening lap, and championship is very much on their mind right now. They'd love to seal it today.
A little further back, the big movers on that first lap. Adam Adelson up 3 spots to 7th overall and 2nd in Pro-Am. That's the points leader, so that's big for him. And a little further behind them in 13th overall, Todd Coleman. How about this? 7 positions gained on that first lap. Awesome.
That is really cool.
Anthony
Ferrari
Girassi.
challenge and learning the ropes with Aaron Tielitz, who's a tremendous young driver. So got a great mentor and coach there in terms of putting the data on that race car and seeing if Todd can go out and match it. He's really enjoying the season.
Exactly right. This is the 69 car of Coleman. Went a little wide that time, and that opened the door for Tom Capizzi to take one of those spots back. Brian Putt will be next to take a look at Todd Coleman, and Brian will be awfully desperate to make as much progress as he can. Meanwhile, battle for the lead in Pro-Am around the outside. Adam Adelson, Moise Uretsky side by side through sunset.
Uretsky really being pretty kind there and giving him plenty of racing room. Didn't want to get too tight there coming through that final corner, so maybe the race director's words here this weekend at the drivers' meeting helping these guys give each other a little bit of racing room and keep it a little bit cleaner.
Putt once again continuing his assault on Todd Coleman. Couldn't make the pass to the front. No, here we go. This is for the lead in Pro-Am, with Uretsky leading Adelson. Ross Schwest, another strong run. He had one going this morning in GT America powered by AWS. Something went amiss on the last lap, and it really cost him a chance to stay in the hunt for the championship there, quite possibly. But he's having a good day, a good rebound, I suppose, to his day here in the first race for Pirelli GT4 America, running in 3rd. Then Elias Sabo 4th, not too far behind.
I'll tell you what, though, that accelerating performance, Aston Martin has really been rapid here this weekend. Look at Uretsky, he's immediately pulled the gap.
It's not been the most smooth weekend, it must be said, for Moisey Uretsky. He had a big crash in practice yesterday. That's why that car is running with a bare carbon hood. Suffered quite a bit of damage. But they were able to make the repairs, get him on the grid. He has been fast, to your point.
Yeah, bounced back this morning, put that car on pole in GT America, and then a dominating victory. Just stroked it, really, just took off. Wasn't to be seen.
This is a look in the scrap over second overall. Johann Schwartz has it.
What's going on here?
Is that just something from an overflow, or is there more to that story?
Yeah, I hadn't seen it before, though, so something that suddenly seems to have developed. Clean now, so it's heavily loaded through there, so I'm not sure if there is an overflow pipe that comes down in that left rear fender there.
You can see it.
You can see it here.
It's very strange. And troubling for the AM class leader who runs second overall. That's helping Eric Filgaris make good his escape. He is out ahead by 2 seconds over Schwartz. And more importantly for Filgaris, 2.7 seconds over the second place silver car, Mackay Stevens.
Filgaris laid down a 2:13.5, which stands as the fastest lap of the race early in the going, but right now he's kind of matching times that are everyone's running in the top 8 or so he's not streaking away with this one. I'm not sure if they just went a little bit more aggressive on their starting tire pressure to get the lead and jump out, and then he's just got to try and manage that. Also has to think about you're not doing any tire change in this Sprint X race here today, so you got to leave a little bit of rubber left for your teammate when he jumps on board halfway through.
Tough to think about that sometimes when you're in a big battle of your own, but it's true.
Your teammate can say it's going to be payback tomorrow when he's the starting driver, so you got to
right.
be kind to each other.
It's like on that last lap, Brian Putt must have had a moment. He dropped 4 spots, so it only cost him 1 position in class. Back to 19th overall, 9th in Pro-Am. And that's not the run that they need. He and Kitten Cook are 5th in points and are right there on the edge of being eliminated from contention for the championship.
Battle there with Callie, Bartone, and Noble, it looks like, as they exit Tower Corner. Look at Schwartz, we can win the Drift King. There's that overflow again.
Odd that he would manifest in that right-hand corner, but then not in 17.
That's what I don't understand about it. It's very bizarre.
Take a peek behind this fight. Saw that Uretsky had pulled a decent gap over Adelson, first back to second in Pro-Am.
Schwartz really gains a little bit at the end of the straightaway compared to Mackay Stevens. It's got to be frustrating for the guys. He's trying to keep the pressure on him.
Coming around to complete the 4th lap of this race, nearly 10 minutes complete. And Schwartz that time matching pace from Filgaris. Battle breaking out here, further down in the order. That'd be Scott Noble working on Anthony Bartone. Not for class position. This is down in 15th and 16th overall. AM class car Bartone and Noble, Pro-Am class runner.
Yeah, but Noble's very much in that Pro-Am championship fight. He and Jason Hart sit just 8 points back from Adelson and Skier as we came into this race weekend.
Oh, he's off track there just a little bit. That brings Todd Coleman back into the picture. Todd's dropped 3 spots. Now he's looking to break him back up, and he does have a run around the outside. It's been a yo-yo of a race, up and down for Todd Coleman, trying to attack Noble here.
Yeah, he's learning a lot, though. He'll be loving it. Right in the thick of the action right now. Good clean race so far. We've seen some hard racing, but not too feisty.
Class manager Jack Baldwin will love that.
Well, the point was made. I mean, there's so much investment and dedication by all of these races here, and if you're running around in these 60-minute races and only seeing 30 minutes of green flag, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think everyone just needs to learn to respect each other a little bit more, give each other a little bit of racing room. Still can be hard, still can be tough, but Just be smart.
And we see smoke or the liquid or whatever it might be coming out of the back of the Johann Schwartz car. Coming out of Le Mans corner, turn 16.
I'm surprised to see Filgueiras with the lead, but he's not stretching it here today. He's just maintaining. He's right around 2 seconds. Seems like everyone down until Goretzky is able to run very similar lap times to each other. Top 6 cars, all within a tenth or two.
This weekend, Eric's back as the nominated driver 1. You'll recall at Road America, he switched to be the second driver, which you can do. You can swap back and forth as far as your driver nomination in the silver class because both drivers are graded equally. And the reason for that was he wanted a chance to qualify up against the pros in the Pro-Am lineups and to race against those guys. And I bumped into him at a different event last weekend where he was coaching, and he said, I just wanted a chance to be able to show people what I'm capable of against names they would recognize. The pros in these Pro-Am lineups are big-time drivers that within the sports car racing community are names that people know, and they know if you could run with them that you've got some talent yourself. And I think Eric felt like the message was sent at Road America.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he's done a great job all season long. I've known him and his dad for a long time, just beating the pavement, trying to find an opportunity, and suddenly he got it through someone that he coaches, is now helping sponsoring the race car, and he's grabbed it with both hands. I mean, got a great partner in Stephen McAleer, and a great team. I mean, they just turn out such fast race cars every single weekend.
It's true. They've risen to become the top teams with these Caymans racing stateside. We've seen that in multiple series over the course of the year. This is big. This is the points-leading car in Pro-Am. Dead stick on the side of the road. Something has gone awry for Adam Adelson, now able to get power back to that car, but not before a lengthy delay, and it's going to cost him multiple positions.
Maybe a Control-Alt-Delete, try to get the electronics reset, try to find a safe part of the racetrack. See what happens here. Yeah, just suddenly just pulls over to the right-hand side. This is turn 11. Probably reset the electronics, but he doesn't seem to be up to full speed still. So whatever he did, that didn't fix it.
Yeah, the Indian Summer Porsche coming through, then the TRG Porsche, and you're right, visibly that car is ailing. It is not at song, and boy, that was close. Very nearly contact as this field is starting to come up on the stricken Premier Racing Porsche. Adam Adelson, the championship leader, was running in second ahead of all of his championship rivals. This is going to be so costly.
Mackay Stevens is trying to get his way by Johann Schwartz. He gets alongside him, exit in turn 5. If he can clear him, he could maybe chase after Filgueiras, because Filgueiras is not giving or showcasing that dominating form. I mean, you can see he's got the lead of this race by a healthy margin, but maybe Mackay Stevens has some pace to go chase him down right now.
That would be the question of this race. Does anyone have the pace for the RS1 guys? That's not been the case pretty much all year long. But if there's been a team that's been close, it's been this one.
Well, they were the closest in qualifying, but it's a 1.2 second margin, but they don't seem to be displaying that same kind of performance here today with the RS1 number 18 out front.
Did win race 2 at VIR, did Stevens, and his co-driver Gavin Sanders should have won one of the races at NOLA Motorsports Park. Looked like they had that one in hand. A little miscommunication with Win to pit and a full course yellow caught them out. But even still, on a consistent basis, there's been no one that's been able to challenge Filgueiras and McAleer.
Mackay has stretched that gap on Johann pretty quickly here, so now he can just focus forward and just try and close the gap to the leaders. Pit stop window opens in about just shy of 10 minutes, 9:45 away from that happening. This will be key here, I think, in terms of the complexion of this race. See what Mackay Stevens can do now with a clear racetrack, see if he can display some pace that may show he can catch the leader right now.
Solid run today for the Auto Technic BMW. Right there, Austin Smith. The next to take a shot at Johann Schwartz. He and Zach Anderson are 4th in points, but not at all in the hunt. Quite frankly, it's not been the year I anticipated for them. I thought this would be a lineup and team that would have a chance to run at the pointy end, and they've been good. They don't have any really bad results outside of the very first race of the season where they failed to score points. Excuse me, that's a different team. But it was the first race of the weekend at Road America that they failed to score points. But just have not been able to run the same kind of pace as some of the top teams, and I'm not quite sure why. I thought this lineup would be capable.
I agree with you. I mean, Austin certainly learned a lot over the last couple of seasons. Zach Anderson is a rocket ship, and with that team, yeah, I mean, 6 podiums is nothing to be sniffed at, but they haven't been right there knocking on the door for wins.
But a good day to this point, running 2nd in, make that 3rd in that silver class, in contention for yet another podium.
Garris has got the hammer down a little bit. That last lap was a 2:13.7, so 2/10 off his previous best. He seemed to be content running low 14s there for a while. But now that he sees that 34 car, the nearest pursuing the championship right behind him, he's not going to want to give that up. So I think this is going to be a key indicator here on this lap. Who's got the pace? First sector, Stevens was 3/10 quicker. Second sector, Phil Garris was 2/10 quicker, so about a 1/10 delta. I'm talking about 1/10 delta there between the 2 cars so far on this lap.
Nip and tuck between them. But Filgaris has the advantage of a 2.2 second lead back to Stevens. It's going to take more than a 10th here or a 10th there for Stevens to close the gap. Meanwhile, 42 minutes to go down to pit lane, and we'll check in now with Amanda Busick.
Well, I stopped by this morning and talked to the RS1 team of Eric Filgaris and Stephen McAleer. Of course, all the attention is on them this weekend of can they clinch it here in Sebring, this championship that they've just run away with based on the performance this year. And I talked to both drivers independently, and what I loved from Eric to Stephen, he called him the best driver in the paddock. But Stephen snapped back at it and said, listen, he runs with me against a 10th almost in every race, so give him the compliments back and forth. But my best part about this duo is the fun that they seem to have together. My favorite ad of the weekend is I found out these two are staying at a UFO Dome, an Airbnb here in the local area. Guys, you walk into this place, there's a popcorn machine. There's an arcade on the 2nd floor. I saw Star Wars pinball up there. I saw an Atari Tempest up there. These guys are having a fun weekend, keeping the pressure off of this championship and doing it all together.
I heard rumors about that UFO-themed place. I did look it up. Stephen McAleer posted some things about it on his social media. Safe to say, I've never seen anything like it. But it looks fun.
You'll be all over it next year.
This is not fun. Ugh, you hate to see this.
Such a critical part of the championship season to see this car having troubles. Great driver pairing. I think these 2 guys have a lot of fun as well. Seem very well matched. Seems in terms of the yin and the yang.
Yeah, I had a good chat with them if you go back to NOLA, didn't we? And they were talking about both having, I think these are their words, I certainly don't mean it in a disparaging way, but kind of nerdy tendencies is what came up. And they were able to bounce ideas off one another kind of along those lines, and it's worked out really well. Remember when they turned up at the midpoint of the season last year, Elliott Skier had been out of competitive racing for a couple of years. Adam Adelson didn't have a ton of experience beyond club racing, but they jumped in, and with this team pretty darn quick. They were on the pace, and coming into this season, they established themselves by sweeping the weekend there at NOLA as a team that we were going to have to be thinking about for the championship all year long.
Skier, I think it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. He had Pat Long, who was like a mentor for him, and he was really kind of showcasing himself very well, and he seemed to disappear off my radar at least for a little bit. So great to see him getting the opportunity back, and he is really quick.
Well, he won a single-make Porsche championship in 2015, and I think it was on the back of that that he started to get some attention from Porsche, and they put him in a couple different situations to showcase his talent. But as we know, it's not just about talent in this game. You got to have the backing behind you. But I was really happy when I saw his name pop back up on that entry list last year. And then for that to continue into this year, the relationship that he's built with Adam, they've got big things in their future, but it's been a trying day to this point, running second in class when their issues started to arise. Let's take a moment now and focus in here in the Pro-Am class. This is Ross West, who is second right now. Nice run today. Elias Sabo has now been promoted to the third spot. He's got one car in between. That's the silver class car of Kevin Conway from Smooge Racing. And then Tim Horrell having maybe the best run of his year. His co-driver Rafa Matos, former IndyCar driver, really thought we'd see something out of those two. They've run some Trans Am races, his teammates, and now stepping into GT4 this year. Good strong run for them, 10th overall, 4th in class.
Really strong, good run for Sabo. We're looking at right behind Kevin Conway there. 3rd in class, they sit 4th in the Pro-Am Championship coming into this weekend, but we know that the leader's in trouble, so it's going to tighten things up here. Novel's down in 6th, who runs 2nd in the points, so lots to play for that Flying Lizard squad.
Had a chat with Elias yesterday, and he was all smiles. Despite the heat, he was quick to say they made a mistake, or he made a mistake. Oh, there's an off. Big save. Could have been Tom Capizzi, or maybe it's Walker.
Walker,
I think it was, in the 11th place car. But back to Sabo. He pressed the wrong switch, basically, and thought he had the AC on in the car. It was just the fan. It wasn't doing a good job. He thought the AC was broken. He said he had to come back in after one of the practice sessions earlier this weekend. But his pace has been good all year long. He and Andy Lee have been a potent pairing, and with this Flying Lizard team, they have emerged this year. I think this has been the best year of Elias's young career.
I think so. I think he again, I mean, we talk about the partnerships all the time in terms of the Pro and the Am, but with Andy Lee, he's just got a ton of experience, really nice guy, very fast still, good technical ability. And that team, they've got Stephen Costello running, steering the ship now there at Flying Lizard, and just some excellent technical help as well. Owen Hayes is helping them out as well, so really good stuff.
And Owen's name was one that Elias brought up yesterday, and Owen's got such rich history, helped run the Porsche RS Spider prototype for Penske back in the aughts to so much success, and has done a great deal since then.
He's now marketing this setup pad, which is just absolutely phenomenal that a lot of the pro teams are now utilizing.
Really cool technology. Closing in on the pit window opening up in just over a minute. And the lead has been pretty stable between Filgaris and Stevens. Stevens has been able to match his pace. Drop back here as Sabo desperately wants to get around the out-of-class traffic. That would be Kevin Conway in the 4th placed silver class car. And Tim Horrell behind. Again, having a really strong run here today. Driving with hand controls.
Rest as well. 2nd in Pro-Am. Uretsky has taken off just like he did earlier in the day in GTA with the Pro-Am class lead. Now 7 seconds down the road from this chasing pack. Seconds from pit window opening.
And it's no longer a requirement for the leader to get the first crack at the pit lane, so those a little bit further back here might be in a position where they can duck in. Not this group, not quite there. They missed that by 10, 12 seconds. Those a little bit further down the order, and especially in these Pro-Am lineups where you can get your more experienced driver in the car, that's going to be an incentive to try and get in as quickly as possible now that that pit window is open. As it opens up, quick message down from pit lane with Amanda.
Standing by with Todd Smith, the AM leader. Todd Brown, the AM leader, currently with Johan Schwartz out there. Todd, I apologize. What I wanted to get to was you talking about the character here at Sebring that you love so much, and you were saying that it's just different, and you take to it so well. Why is that?
Well, tracks with character give you a challenge almost every turn. You know, I like Coda quite a bit. but it's almost too perfect. This is far from perfect, and it brings character, and really, it maybe brings different skills out that a driver wouldn't maybe have if it was really flat and really smooth, etc.
Todd, as we get closer and closer to the driver change, what starts changing in your mental preparation?
Well, I'm thinking about hitting my marks. Everybody says that, but that's the fact. You can't mess up. So in this case, you know, we got the lead right now in AM. My job is just to keep it, if at all possible. Get on the podium is our goal, and that's smooth, hit your marks, and drive fast. You're welcome.
Great to hear from Todd Brown. His co-driver Johann Schwartz doing a great job running third overall, but holding the lead, as he mentioned, in the AM class. A couple of takers to the pit lane early in this window. And I'd like to call attention to Todd Coleman. That car was pretty quick, and he's got Aaron Thielett set to go and will maximize his track time. That is not insignificant. Neither is this. The overall leader heads to pit lane, as does the second place car. So RS1 and Conquest coming in at the first time of asking.
I'm surprised they didn't try the overcut here with Mackay Stevens. A lot of will be reading the traffic, which I wasn't totally on top of. I couldn't see it, but it looked like the road ahead was pretty clear. So I would have thought that Mackay Stevens, with the pace that he'd got, I mean, Mackler's going to be on as soon as he gets behind the wheel, but maybe, just maybe, if he'd laid down a hot lap or two, could have given them an opportunity to leapfrog around the RS1 machine.
On the flip side, it shows the faith that they have in Eric Filgaris to go out and put down fast out laps and hopefully be able to maximize his lead that way.
Yeah, we got Mackler now jumping on board here. It's all about execution at this stage. And what sort of traffic do any other pursuers? It was really a two-horse race there up front between these two silver-rated cars overall and in class there at the front of the pack. They're both on the same pit stop strategy. Now it's all about just getting it right against the clock. Do you utilize that joker now as tight as it was coming into pit lane?
Apologies for that. I was still in Road America mode where Filgaris raced second there, but driver change is complete. You see the car stationary. Now it goes. Just making sure it doesn't run afoul of the minimum time on pit lane. Looks like clean work for RS1. Same for Conquest. They leave as they came in, more or less line to stern.
Yeah, pretty even there. Neither one of them used the joke there, about 1 second outside of the minimum time. It's 85 seconds for GT4 cars here this weekend in Sprint X competition. A couple of the teams did use their jokers. Austin Smith, Zach Anderson, an 84.8, 84.2 for Uretsky to Piscatell.
There's Todd Brown limbering up for his stint. Johann Schwartz has set the table for him nicely. Now it's his job to bring it home. Cycled, in fact, this pit window. Schwartz into the overall lead. There's some traffic ahead of him. He'd like to run Johann as deep into this stint as possible. But if he catches some slower traffic, does that change the calculation a bit?
Maybe. I mean, I think you could tell the fact that he was doing an interview during the pit stop window with Amanda that they weren't too concerned that Johann was hitting pit lane anytime soon. So they'll try and stretch it as far as they can. Johann's really in a rhythm right now, and he's got tremendous pace. So see what they can do here by keeping Johann out, see if it has an advantage for the team.
Right now caught behind the TRG Porsche, Derek DeBoer, sharing that car with Jason Alexandridis, who's been loving his racing here this weekend.
Yeah, I spoke to Jason the other day. He was pumped up, coming off a test they did at Indy recently where they had Spencer Pumpelly out there in the car. And he said, I was within a second of Spencer. He said, I'd never done that before. So he was absolutely stoked that he's really starting to find the ropes here and improve his performance.
That's a great baseline to measure yourself off of, a driver of Spencer's quality and experience.
Great run by Charlie Poston.
Yes.
That was an amazing run. Came in second in class, but this is more than enough to seal the deal for their championship if they can finish there.
There's a chance, given the fact that it's now James Clay driving, that they can make a run at Todd Brown and maybe win this race in class and put a stamp on that championship. I think they've got a good shot at it.
Two really strong drivers. Spoke to James this weekend. He said typically we're within half a second of one another, Charlie and I, so that's what gives you a championship lead like they have, just dominated this year.
This is not helping the Rooster Hall cause. As mentioned, Johann Schwartz has not found a way past the traffic. Derek DeBoer doing some good lap times.
Yeah, this could be pivotal because Postons wasn't that far behind Schwartz, and they just executed a pit stop in 84.5 seconds utilizing their joker. So with Johann being stymied here a little bit, they need a really good pit stop. I think he's going to stay out for one more.
Should have the time for exactly that.
Won't have time for two more, so we have to come in this next time by. They're going to have to nail it, otherwise they could lose the lead. The fair share of rain here, it looks like, with the green grass here at Sebring. I don't think I've ever seen it quite so green. Place looks good.
And it does, and everyone happy to be here. It's hard to find a driver that doesn't like coming to Sebring. And it's a rough old place, that's for sure, but it's challenging. I thought Todd Brown said it nicely, talking about some of the more modern tracks. They're almost too perfect. This one's far from perfect, and somehow, counterintuitively, that's almost perfection, isn't it?
It is. It's got a charm to it. I mean, people are talking about, oh, we need a resurface, getting too bumpy. No, just leave it alone. That's what makes it so special and means something when you do achieve a good result here.
There's a reason this place has become the testing hotbed that it has. Manufacturers send their race cars here to break, to figure out what's vulnerable. It's proven so important for so many teams over the years. Closing in on the end of the pit window, Amanda, what's new in the pits?
I just wanted to add on the conversation, you guys. I was talking to a couple drivers on pit lane here today, and it seems like there is a kind of a distinct like or hate about this place, but all of the like or hate turns into respect. Jason Alexandrides had an off in practice here this week and said that he felt like he was part of a respected club. He said he felt like he'd been bit by Sebring, and you get that answer more and more by drivers. So this place, as tough as it is, it's almost the respect is universal.
You have to respect the place, or it will bite you. Great point. All right. I don't think there's time for another lap. In fact, I'm sure there's not. Johann Schwartz will have to make the call from the overall lead as well as the lead in the AM class, and how they execute here could be crucial given the fact that he was held up in traffic for a few laps, and that might have opened the door for Bimmer World.
Yeah, he's not going to hold on to the overall lead when they make this pit stop, but certainly the class lead is the thing that we're talking about. The Bimmer World car, James Clay behind the wheel now. These guys are going to need a really good one, a really strong one.
There's so much to this orchestrated driver change. One crew member is permitted to check tire pressures and bleed off air pressure if they deem necessary. But making sure everything goes smoothly on this driver change, getting the belts tightened correctly, getting the window net in place, getting the radio connected, cool suit if that's in play. It looks like it was smooth. That car fires up. See the crew member on the radio just to the right. And they'll send Todd Brown back out on track. Again, pitting from the class lead in the AM class. But how much ground was Bimmer World able to make up while this car was stuck in traffic? This is for the overall lead here. Here comes RS1. And Stephen McAleer blitzes through. Gavin Sanders comes through. That car of Todd Hetherington there. None of this for class position, but he drops a little bit further down the order and will come in right around the...
Look, the next car through might be Clay. Let's take a look here coming through turn one.
Sure is. Right there, that's it. So James Clay, he's been warmed up. He's got a couple laps under his belt, and he'll know. Wow. He'll know that car ahead of him is for the class lead. He's got his head down. You could tell he's pushing that BMW for all it's worth. Todd Brown, meanwhile, fresh out of the pits, and he's got to be on it immediately.
He does. James could see the opportunity there and got a little overexcited, I think, really. He overdrove a couple of corners there, kept it together. Great car control, but he can see the leader in his class right in front of him.
Looking to clinch the AM Class Championship and aiming to do so with a 7th win on the season. James Clay, Charlie Postins have been the dynamic duo of the AM Class this season.
They want to do it in style. They don't want to backdoor it. They'd love to just seal the deal, really free up the rest of this championship season, including tomorrow. And enjoy a light celebration tonight, I would think.
Only one finish this year worse than second. That is how strong they have been. And you can see James Clay is reeling him in corner by corner, straight by straight. Just that little bit closer. Just ahead of them is the leader in Pro-Am, Justin Piscatel. Shares that car with Moise Uretsky. Had a great opening stint of his own. James Clay is there, just a car length between the two, and he's got to run coming down the Ullman Straight.
He does. Brown's done a nice job on this opening lap, but Clay has the momentum right there. He's just going to send it once they get to the brake pedal here.
Flashing those headlights, James Clay looks to the inside. Can't make the move into Sunset, but can he get the run out down to turn number 1? Still 22 minutes to go. Wow, that was close. Looks like that might have been Brian or Kitten Cook, the B-Sport car, possibly off pace. Might have been a different one. Nevertheless, this is the battle for the AM Class lead. James Clay looking on Todd Brown. Brown slams that door into 1.
Todd's doing a great job here, hanging on, gets a little bit wide. James is going to get the run. Can he get to his inside before they get to the brake pedal for Christensen corner? Brown is doing an awesome job. Look at him sideways there, fighting the car. Clay's to the outside. He's going to clear him.
James Clay and Bimmerworld to the AM Class lead. Just saw that one slight slip up from Todd Brown, and the veteran James Clay knew exactly what to do. Jumped to the outside and grabbed the top spot away.
He did. I think now Todd just needs to settle in. He's going to realize that James has probably got a little bit more pace than him. Settle in and just focus on what will be a tremendous podium run for these guys.
And it would, and you heard Todd say that's the goal. Just want a podium. And it looks like a championship with a win in the offing, possibly for Clay and Postins. McAleer, a 3.1 second lead over Gavin Sanders. Sanders, though, was the quicker of the two on the last lap, and by a sizable margin. So let's keep an eye on that. Zach Anderson runs 3rd overall and in the silver class, but some 7 seconds behind Sanders.
Boy, did McAleer lay one down when he first got in the race car. They were 2:12.5. That's about 6/10 clear of anyone else. And Lee had a 13.0, yeah, so about half a second.
That's what we've come to expect from Stephen McAleer, though, isn't it? All season long. Combination of McAleer, Filgaris, and RS1 has been as close to unstoppable as you will find.
Spectacular. Because the competition level is so high in this championship, for them to put a year together like they're doing, dominant fashion, it's hard to believe, quite honestly.
McAleer responded that time, pulled out 0.3 of a second. Zach Anderson, though, set his best lap and that car's best lap of the race. This is on 40-minute-old Pirelli tires, keep in mind. A 2:13.3, so he was half a second faster than the leader McAleer on the last time around.
Yeah, he sits about 6 seconds back of Gavin Sanders, but we've got a lot of time left on the board. If he continued at that pace delta between he and the 34 car, he could potentially catch him.
False alarm on the B-Sport car, by the way. Kenton Cook still out on track. Must have been somebody else with a similar red, white, and blue color scheme that was coming to the pits. It's good for Kenton and company. They now run 7th in Pro-Am, 13th overall in a car around. That's Todd Brown, the erstwhile AM Class leaders.
I think that's the area of the racetrack where he had that little bobble before, so he's just pushing things a little bit too much there through turn 4, setting up for 5, it seems. You can see him, he's backwards there as he's coming into the picture.
Understand the car we saw coming to the pit lane was Dr. Jim Rappaport, TRG Porsche.
Brown's gap back to third in class as Martinez. Onto it.
So.
Onto it. He had about 18 seconds there. I ain't sure how much time that cost him.
Well, and what that's going to do is help Andy Lee now. Andy Lee, oh, we got, I think that is Rappaport there, off track, damage to the right front of that car. They going from bad to worse, unfortunately, after the unscheduled call to the pit lane. Now, some damage to that car. Quickly though, back to the Andy Lee story. Flying Lizard, the car that Elias Sabo started, running in second in Pro-Am and turning the fastest race lap of everyone on that previous time around. He was running a 2:12.7, while the leader was doing a 2:13.8.
Yeah, that's only a couple of tenths off Macauley's best. Macauley's probably just managing things up front, but even so, Andy Lee is, they've been working hard. They've been really digging deep, trying to get every ounce of performance out of that car this weekend, and it's showing it here.
Andy's not that far behind Justin Piscatel, who leads the Pro-Am class right now and ran a 2:13.4, so about a second slower than Lee on that last lap.
So was he 9 seconds back? 10 seconds, just under 10 seconds back, I think.
17 minutes to go. It's going to be close. We know that Andy Lee's got the bit between his teeth. He is pushing.
Yeah, that potential closing in the gap for second is not going anywhere right now. Sanders responded with a lap that was a couple of tenths quicker than Anderson, who runs in third.
The day this would be for Moise Uretsky. Won in GT4 earlier in GT America, powered by AWS. And in control now with his co-driver driving, Justin Piscatel. This would be their first win in this championship, running a partial schedule.
They found the magic sauce this weekend. That car is definitely dialed in.
I'd say. Good job by the whole Accelerating Performance team. Now we go back. This is James Clay, running 5th overall, leading the AM class. Behind him, you will find Andy Lee. The kind of got my eyes on here to see if he can mount a late race charge on Piscatel. Anderson, though, having a nice stout run. 3rd place overall, 3rd in silver, looking at yet another podium. BMW's ruling the roost in top speed on our Race Vision powered by AWS.
We saw that a little bit earlier, didn't we, when we saw Johann Schwartz and Mackay Stevens kind of going down the straightaway. It looked like Johann was gapping the Mercedes a little bit there at the end of the straight.
Absolutely. That has been the hallmark of this BMW M4 GT4. Final year for this edition of this car. New model BMW M4 GT4 coming next year. We saw it unveiled at VIR on the SRO weekend earlier this year. All the BMW teams showed up to see that unveiling and check the new car out, and a few teams that aren't BMW powered did too.
Yeah, I think there's been a massive response. Everyone's looking forward to getting their hands on it and getting testing. And I think in some ways, I think it's a similar production line, so to speak, in terms of how the GT3 cars are built. So I think that's why some of these parts and stuff, in terms of we talk about the GT3 situation with BMW, this M4 is now online, excuse me, the GT4 is now online. So that's taken away some of the production ability with the GT3 car.
Some exciting stuff coming in the world of GT4 next year. Oh, a spin here. Again, Todd Brown involved. Looks like Al Carter from Random Vandals Racing also has gone around. Boy, what a promising day it was shaping up to be for Rooster Hall, and it's all come undone.
It's disappointing for the whole group there. Sure if Todd intended to come down pit lane, or he just spun and was way over there and just felt that was the safer way out rather than rejoining the track at high speed.
Looked like he owed a drive-through penalty, according to race control.
Maybe he was trying to get to pit lane and got tagged potentially. Or?
Yeah, caught someone out. You wouldn't necessarily expect someone to be diving for pit lane at this stage in the race. That's a good call. But costly to say the least. Just a quarter of this race to go. Less than 15 minutes now, in fact. Stephen McAleer's lead, it has not grown. Let's give Gavin Sanders credit. The young Canadian who does not have much experience at this level, but has been a quick study all year long, has been matching race pace lap after lap, and now a lead that was about 3.5 seconds is down to 2.8.
Yeah, this is surprising to me based on what the qualifying performances were this morning. So either they've tweaked on this 34 machine and closed the gap, or maybe in race conditions, the RS1 car, they're leading the race and they start the pole tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, but they've certainly backed up a little bit in terms of the gap that they had on the field.
And you have to wonder, too, these qualifying sessions, it's a free-for-all. Everyone's out on track together. 31 cars in this class. It is a long track, but there's always the chance you never found clear track to put a full lap together.
Yep,
and
for sure.
Might not have been a totally representative qualifying session for this Conquest team. Whatever the case, they have showed their strength here today. At time, McAleer edged ahead just a little bit, about 1/10 of a second more, to put it at a 3-second gap once again, but not much between these two.
They're certainly keeping them honest, let's put it that way. Kenton Cook continuing to dig here, chasing down Rafa Morales. Brazilian driver, immense talent. Looked like he was on the high road to IndyCar success. And LMP2 cars for Andretti Autosport. It all just kind of went south on him a little bit. He's had a ton of success in Trans Am competition as well, but I felt go back 10 years and you'd be talking about him at a different level of the sport.
Yeah, you looked at him on the junior open wheel ladder system as a star in the making. Now he's running right around Kenton Cook. These two fighting for position in the Pro-Am class, 5th and 6th. Cook will take 5th from Matos, at least for the time being. But to your point, this is a Formula Dodge champion back in 2003, won the Star Mazda championship in 2005, won the Atlantic championship in 07, the Indy Lights championship in 08, the 09 IndyCar Rookie of the Year, but only 2 seasons in IndyCar, these 2 full seasons, and ended up out of a seat, had to reinvent himself as a sports car racer, and to your point, great success in Trans Am in recent years. 2-time champion in the TA2 class, and was once the runner-up, once was 3rd in that mix too, from 2018 to 2021. Love to see him here in this paddock, and this is, again, one of the best runs they've had all season long. He and his co-driver, Tim Horrell, who's an interesting story in and of himself, paralyzed and driving with hand controls. You can see the little handicap sticker on the back of the car, but it hasn't ever slowed him down. He's had some good runs in Trans Am too, and branching out into GT4 this year.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. And I love Rafa. I think he's a great kid. A great young man. And I think it really just showcases how competitive this championship is when he's got guys like Kenton Cook, who's top draw, just top draw talent. And Rafa battling out for 5th in class, 10th overall.
Right. Further back in the order, you see that Premier Racing did get Elliott Skier, who's now driving the car that Adam Adelson started. Remember, that car was running 2nd in Pro-Am and stopped. They are back out, but not in a position to score points outside of the top 10 right now. Such frustration for them. It's good to see that the car is running, so whatever the issue was, they've resolved it. That's the good news. And we'll hope to rebound tomorrow, but he's stuck several laps down and then mixing it up here further down in the order.
Leafuse, isn't it? The second Toyota
Yes.
in frame there. I had a chat with him this weekend. He just said this Toyota is so different to drive to the BMW. Shorter wheelbase, you just can't attack the entry to the corners like you could with the BMW, so they're trying to adjust the setup on the race car. He's adjusting his driving style. He said the ABS is very different. He said it's a rapid race car, but he said we're really having to work it hard to get it into its sweet spot where I can drive it quick.
It has been something I've heard about that car. When you hit on the setup, it is really strong. but maybe that window isn't quite as big as it is with some of the other GT4 cars that are a bit longer in the tooth. There's a bit more data out there on them. We've seen Smooth Racing, for instance, give those Supras a great run, and what Hattori has done now in GT America, Seth Lucas, a winner of 3 races over on that side, has been a revelation. So it's definitely a car that is more than capable, and there's a reason you see so many of them on GT4 grids in lots of different series around the world. Inside of 9 minutes to go, James Clay, Charlie Postins, they are that close to clinching a championship, Amanda.
They are. I was just talking to Charlie just about this kind of dream season for this team, and I asked him what's been the best moment of the year so far for him, and he said it was 2 weeks prior to Sonoma when he got the call that he was going to be racing alongside James Clay. He said they went into Sonoma with 0 expectation, but the second they got that first win in race number 1 to kick off this 2022 season, he said, yeah, that's when I knew we could run for this thing. So it's been, Charlie said that he's been watching this series from the sideline for a couple of seasons, so to be able to get the call and come in it, that's what made his year, guys.
In reference to that late call-up, it's worth bringing up that this was not a program that was planned when the season started. Bimmer World is running 1 car in Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS this year, but it was supposed to be 2. And they had a testing crash, a part shortage, a couple of different things went wrong, and elected to forego the second car, and then that's where this GT4 effort came from.
That's right. Yeah, James was going to run GT3 this year and had to switch gears a little bit, put this program together late. Obviously had the cars available to him in GT4 spec, and reunited with Charlie, and they went off and ran with it.
So maybe an unlikely championship. If you had asked them 3 weeks before the season started,
sure.
Neither of them would have thought they would have even been running in this series this year. And from there to the domination we've seen, and just 7 minutes away from securing a title. One thing I want to point some attention to your previous point about how deep this field is, the fastest lap, the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race was set by Alex Prema, who's making his season debut, and he runs all the way back in 17th overall. Just to give you some idea of how deep this field is, top to bottom.
Yeah, ex-Audi factory guy. Prototypes, DTM. Just crazy, the names that you see spotted through this field.
Australian supercars, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the endurance racing teammate at Team Penske, at Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske, to Scott McLaughlin.
That's right.
And helped Scott win a championship in 2019. So he's driven just about everything. Here he is. GMG Racing, the team. Jay Logan, the co-driver, making their first start of the season here. And Alex Prema is fast anytime you plug him into one of these race cars.
Oh, he's got a ton of talent. Yeah, just doesn't matter what category he's in, he's going to get it to the front somehow, or at least have the pace to run at the front.
Right now, set to score a point on debut in the 10th place in Pro-Am. Some 7 seconds behind the next car in class, so I don't think there's going to be enough time to do anything about that, but still, with that fastest lap at least, it's caused everyone to sit up and take notice. Also taking notice of the fact that McAleer's gap to Sanders has come down slightly. 0.3 of a second or so down from where it was a few laps back. So 2.6 seconds, now 2.4 at the last sector check between McAleer and Sanders. And Gavin doing what he needs to do to at least make it interesting here for the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, as I said, they're keeping the pressure on, so anything can happen, but McAleer's just got so much patience, so much experience. And he's having a year of his life. He's still very much in the mix for a big GT3 championship next weekend at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Yeah, lots to play for this season, and on the verge of sealing it, we're here with Eric Filgueras.
On the verge of sealing a first win of the season, accelerating performance. Justin Piscatel handling the driving duties now. He's leading in the Pro-Am class, Amanda.
here on pit lane. It's a long pit lane here at Sebring, and I would think that Mosey has almost walked all of it as he counts down these last couple minutes of this race. I see him clapping his hands right now. I stopped and talked to him for a little bit, and I was like, well, because he's not watching anything, guys. He's not looking at timing. He's not looking at a screen. He's just walking around, and he's like, what do you mean? Something's happening right now? So he's taking in this moment, and I'm sure the nerves of a first win just going through his mind. But back to what you said with Justin Piscatell in the car, it would also be his first win in GT4. And Cal and Ryan, I know both of you are drivers. What could be going through the mind of a driver in the last couple minutes on the cusp of a first win?
Well, you're thinking what could go wrong here. And he can't afford to relax too much and just stroke it home there, because Andy Lee, as you've been pointing out, Ryan, is not that far behind. I think time is running out for Andy, so I think Justin is maybe managing this. He doesn't want to make a mistake, but yeah, it's nerve-wracking for sure.
There is Andy right there. He struggled for a few laps to get by James Clay in the AM class leading car, and that may have cost him a shot, because I think he has the pace to challenge Piscatell. But the fly in the ointment for Justin is the fact that he has caught Zach Anderson, the third-place car in silver, and looks like he's got a bit more pace than Zach does, and that might hold him up just enough here with 3.5 minutes to go for Andy Lee to creep into the picture once again.
Yeah, it's really going to force his hand here. So as EC Lee gets ever closer to him, does he have to risk it and try and get him around this BMW of Zach Anderson? Because on the last lap, he lost 1.5 seconds to Andy Lee sitting behind this BMW.
Yeah, so it just depends how many laps are left. What can Piscatell do with Anderson? How nice is Zach willing to play with Justin right here? And the good news is, Amanda was asking, what is Justin thinking? This is a driver who's been there. He's been in situations like this. A couple of years ago, he was in multiple cars in a race at Daytona in multiple classes and won both of them. Yeah. So he definitely knows how to get things done in a situation like this one. Even if he's not necessarily always a regular on a sports car racing grid, he's got enough experience in his back pocket.
Regarded as one of those super subs for a while, wasn't he?
Probably still
plug and play.
Now catching the TRG car here, and not sure if that's Jim or Todd Hetherington behind the wheel. Got mixed reports on that one, but in any event, he moves out of the way. Did seem to cost Piscatell a little bit, though. 2 minutes to go. Andy Lee still pushing for all he's worth. That last lap did a 2:12.7 compared to a 2:14 flat for Piscatell.
Yeah, 1.5 laps, I think, for these guys to fight it out for this win. Sure, Justin's got it under control, but the car's been quick all weekend long, so Andy is, the Astons are fast. Andy's Aston Martin with Flying Lizard support there is really strong as well.
He might have been caught up by the TRG car, though. Working his way by here. Just how much ground did he lose? How much time will be left? How many laps will be left? It all hinges on the overall leader, Stephen McAleer, and when he's crossing the start-finish line, how much time remains there?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 1.5 laps.
You're right. And he is closing in. Look at the gap coming down. It will be Aston Martin versus Aston Martin. Two different teams, though, going toe-to-toe.
Lee took 1.3 seconds out on that last lap. He almost matched his personal best of the day. Just a couple of ticks off, so he is hammered down right now. He's feeling it. Car is hooked up.
Elias Sabo put that car in position, had a good opening stint. He's driving with a lot of confidence. Piscatell on the headlight flashers there. He wants away by Anderson if he can get it. Meanwhile, the white flag awaits. Stephen McAleer, the Rapid Scotsman, who now calls New York State home. Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris just 1 lap away from yet another win. Gavin Sanders in pursuit. Piscatell could not find a way by the BMW of Anderson. Lee has closed in, checking their last laps. Lee again in the 2:13s. Piscatell ran a 2:15 when he got stuck in traffic that last time by. Here comes Andy Lee.
This is getting tight.
This, by the way, is for the lead in the Pro-Am class. Piscatell has it. Lee trying to take it away.
Oh, Anderson is backing up again a little bit. This is really hurting Justin. You'd have to think that if I was a team member from Accelerating Performance, I'd be running down the road and having a chat with some of these other teams. Not sure how much of that communication goes on, but when it's this late in the going and there's nothing really for Zach Anderson to benefit from, not just stepping aside and letting this battle for a different class kind of take its head.
Behind this scrap, a couple of position changes that have championship implications. Kenton Cook has driven his car up into the 4th spot in the Pro-Am class, passing John Capestra-Dubets, and Jason Hart has gained a spot as well. He and Scott Noble are in the championship hunt. Hart just passed Rafa Matos for the 6th spot, and in a championship so tight, every point, every position is crucial with just 3 races to go when the checkered flag flies here today.
And these 7 points that are on the line here right now for Andy Lee would be huge in their championship charge as well. Coming into this race 4th, 44 points out of the lead. We'll talk about Adelson, the championship leader, not in the points here today, along with Elliott Skier.
Lee has closed. This is as close as he has been. Piscatell has a run on Anderson as well, down Ullman Straight for the final time. How much will Piscatell be compromised by the BMW as they head through 17? We'll find out in a moment.
Oh, he's slowing.
Oh, it's true.
He's
McAleer
slowing.
has slowed. Sanders sweeps by. Conquest Racing will take a last gasp win at Sebring. And now we'll see, can McAleer roll it home? Side by side, though. Here we go. It's Anderson and Piscatell. Lee makes a move. Piscatell fins him off at the line. He'll win in the Pro-Am class.
Wow, what drama there. Sanders grabs the win.
And in Am, James Clay, Charlie Poston's not only win, but clinch a title. How about that? High drama on the final lap at Sebring.
Gonna completely turn things upside down for this group, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Crucially, McAleer did at least limp it over the line to finish 2nd.
What would have been a 54-point lead suddenly turns into a 40-point lead. Big swing, 14 points.
Stranger things have happened. Still 3 races to go. 75 points up for grabs.
Sanders couldn't believe what he was seeing coming off that final corner.
I imagine not. A long-awaited win for him. And there's Moise Uretsky, all smiles. How about his day? 2 wins in as many races. Absolutely phenomenal.
Totally hooked up.
And his co-driver, Justin Piscatell, did just enough. Andy Lee came within 1/10 of a second. In fact, 17/100ths of a second. The difference at the stripe between Piscatell and Lee.
Yeah, I don't think Justin was managing that. That was desperation at the end of that race, just trying to hang on and finish it off.
Great drive, though, by Lee. He was flying. Those were qualifying laps his entire stint.
Yeah.
Credit to the Flying Lizard social team. I saw they were posting about how fast they were and started to pay attention about halfway through that stint. And sure enough, Andy Lee was putting on a show.
Well, he's always been quick. Back to the GTS days back around 2014-15. I mean, he was always one of the leading guys there. Then he too kind of disappeared off the charts a little bit, and now he's come back and showing what he can do.
Should also give a call to the Schwest Povolato racing team. We hardly talked about them today, but Ross Schwest had a good first stint. Not sure we ever saw Aaron Povolato, but he finished that car 7th overall and 3rd in Pro-Am. Great finish for them. John Jesbray and the Smooge team. Kevin Conway started that car, 4th in silver. Now, we mentioned it earlier, Alex Prema, CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, did manage to score a point, 10th in the Pro-Am class, 17th overall, but what an impressive season debut for Alex Prema.
Yeah, that was really, really strong. So many exciting combinations, aren't there? It just seems to get better and better.
No doubt. And the championship amplified by a race win. Charlie Poston's, James Clay, and Bimmerworld to reiterate the story in a program they did not think they were going to be putting together this year until a couple weeks before the season started. They've turned it into a dominant championship run. yet another win, and the title locked up with 3 races yet to go. Provisional results from race 1 of the weekend. Mackay Stevens and Gavin Sanders. A dramatic win as Stephen McAleer slowed through the final corner of the final lap. Sanders swept past and into the lead to take their 2nd victory of the season. Eric Filgaris and Stephen McAleer do still solidify a 2nd place finish by limping across the line. Austin Smith and Zach Anderson came within a couple seconds from grabbing that 2nd spot there in the final analysis, and they finish in the 3rd position. Then you get to the Pro-Am leaders, Piscatell and Uretsky by less than 0.2 of a second over Andy Lee and Elias Sabo from Flying Lizard. James Clay, Charlie Poston's 6th overall, but winners in the AM class. And now the champions-elect, pending a post-race inspection, of course, here tonight. But assuming these results stand, they are heading into tomorrow's race with the championship in hand. A little further down the order, Alex Premadaire, Jay Logan, fastest lap of the race today, finished 17th overall, final points paying position in Pro-Am. Alon Stad with his new co-driver for the weekend, Chris Wilson. That'll be a fun pairing to watch tomorrow. Jaden Lander and Anthony Girassi behind them. Borcheller and Shanny back at the 21st spot. If you go further down the order, maybe the story of the day is what happened to the Premier Racing team. Running 2nd overall, Adam Adelson looked like he was in position to have a great points day as the championship leaders coming in. The car inexplicably stops on the track, and they go from sitting 2nd in their class to scoring no points today. Yeah,
devastating for them. They just got to dust themselves off tonight. Hopefully the car is back running strong and try and rebound tomorrow. Anything can happen. Issues that they had today can hit someone else tomorrow, so you never know. Long way to go in this championship still with 3 rounds left.
Down to Victory Circle and Amanda.
Well, we're still waiting on Mackay Stevens to make it to Victory Circle. I know that's going to be an incredible interview. So we're going to start with our Pro-Am winners. And Justin, I want to come down to those last couple laps of you. I think at the stripe, I heard it was 17,000th of a second. Talk about what was going on in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, I was trying not to look at the rearview mirror was the ideal goal. I can't thank the API Baby Bull Racing team enough. I mean, the car was amazing the whole time. My teammate Moisey did a phenomenal job of saving tires the entire race. So I got in, I had plenty of tire. Unfortunately, I got to fighting with the car that was in a different class, and he was making a few mistakes, and all of a sudden I see Andy really coming on strong at the end, and Andy was doing a phenomenal job of chasing us down. Came down the last corner, I thought he was going to make a move, so I just tried to play it smart and check it up and run it tight to the wall and go down a gear and drag race to start finish.
Moisey, you pick up your first win in GT4, and I saw you pacing up and down pit lane as you were taking in this moment.
Now you know how it feels.
I mean, it was fine up until that last lap. At that point, I was like, oh my God, I can't watch. I'm just going to look at the broadcast. I'm going to see them come by, start, finish. And then I see him come out the last corner with McAleer slowing down out of gas. I was like, oh my God, I was yelling and jumping. It's an unbelievable finish. Unbelievable.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Unbelievable sums it up. It's safe to say. Congratulations to that pair, their first win in this class. But Moisey Uretsky, his 2nd win on the day, having won for the 2nd time this season in GT America, powered by AWS earlier today. That will be a day to remember.
Yeah, it will. I mean, the car's hooked up, but it got tight there at the end. I mean, certainly Andy Lee had the pace. One more lap. I'm not sure whether Justin could have held him off, but he just managed it. But it was awfully tight. Very exciting.
Now, the interview we've all been waiting for. What in the world happened on that last lap, Amanda?
Well, Gavin, the question straight to you was what was going through your mind when you saw the RS1 Porsche in trouble?
I had no idea. I just kept my foot down, and I just asked, did we just win? Because honestly, I had no idea what was happening either. Yeah, it's just surreal, and these guys deserve it so much. Everybody works their hearts and souls out on this team, and it goes to show on the track as well. It's a never give up, and no matter what we face, we always come back together as a team and make it happen.
Big hugs for family and from teammates and Mackay. Unfortunately, I wasn't by the pit box because I would have loved to have seen your reaction when you saw the checkered flag for this car, knowing the strategy that you guys have tried here this weekend. Does that give you extra incentive into going into tomorrow?
I mean, always. As Gavin mentioned, we're a unit through and through. And so when Gavin went to say, hey, did we win? I got back on the radio and said, did we actually win? But granted, it's absolutely a testament to the team. because we sit here and we try and get through the hard times so we can enjoy the good ones.
Saw you doing jump rope earlier in the pits. Were you doing some jumping when that one happened?
Yes, indeed. Thankfully, we practiced ahead of time.
Got limbered up, didn't pull any muscles, and they'll be ready to go for tomorrow. What a phenomenal finish. You have to feel for this team, though. Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris, they had the pace advantage. They got it out front. They stayed out front, but something as simple as a miscalculation on fuel, maybe?
That's what it looks like. So we'll have to wait and get the debrief on that one. But when you think back to Road America where they had the suspension fail and now this, I mean, and the worst case scenario is your closest pursuer in the championship is there to take advantage of it. It's getting tight. I mean, it's still 40 points, but 3 rounds to go. Anything can happen. 75 points still on the line.
Anything can happen, as we just saw on that final lap. Back down to Amanda.
And anything can happen when it's no expectations going into the season, as we heard from Charlie Postins in that ad that we had on his best memory of this season. Well, James, now that I get to talk to you, 7 wins, now a championship with 3 races still left on the season. What's been the highlight for you?
Honestly, it's been the whole year. It's just been a great, successful year. I get to run with my buddy Charlie, and we just have fun every single weekend. It certainly helps to win. That adds to the enjoyment, but it's just been a great year. So 3 more races to go. Year's not over yet. We're still going to have some fun.
Charlie, you said it was been a dream of yours for a couple of seasons, and now you're a champion here in the Pirelli GT4 series. How does that sound?
It sounds very good. It sounds very good. Like James says, this came out of the blue for us to team up like this, and so to have this level of success has really been above and beyond. And I just can't thank the Bimmerwell guys, every single one of them, Rich, Tyler, Enough, and James for bringing me on board. I have to say hi to Lucy, Talia, and Asher back at home or Colorado. It's just been a dream year. Thank you so much.
You're 2022 AM champions.
Great season they put together, and I think they will have fun the rest of the season. Going into the final 3 races, no pressure, no championship to think about. It's just go out, have fun, and try and win some races.
It's a special feeling. Well-deserved.
Green flag fell about an hour ago on the anti-penultimate race of the year. There you see RS1 sweeping into the lead. Johann Schwartz had a great opening stint in that Rooster Hall BMW. Hairy moment there with the eventual race winners and some hairy moments further behind.
Yeah, deep pack of racing, as you can see. Everyone coexisted nicely today. Nice, clean race. Very respectful driving.
It's true. We're into checkers without interruption, but good racing throughout the field. Todd Coleman was in the wars early in the going. Good battle here, too. This was after the pit stop and driver change, and this is how the lead in the AM class was swapped.
Yeah, a little moment there for Brown. He just keeps it together. A lap later, unfortunately, he went for a spin, but there's some great battles throughout the pack. This is Kenton Cook on Rafa Matos down into turn 7.
Middle of the Pro-Am field, but this was the crucial moment, just feet away from securing another race win. The RS1 Porsche grinds to a halt. Past him sweeps Gavin Sanders in the Conquest Racing Mercedes, and they pick up a shock win in the first of 2 races this weekend. McAleer able to coast across the line to secure second place. Then this fight. This was for the lead in Pro-Am, and it came down to 17 hundredths of a second. But Moise Uretsky and Justin Piscatel had just enough in them to keep Flying Lizard behind. Accelerating Performance picks up the class win in Pro-Am here today. What a day of motorsport here at Sebring, and tomorrow figures to have more of the same, another full day of activity. And here for Pirelli GT4 America, just more rapid swings in the championship seems to be in store.
Well, I love the point structure because you can have wild swings, so there's still a lot to play for. Some championships are being wrapped up here. Certain others will be wrapped up by tomorrow night, but I think many of them will go down to the wire at Indianapolis in a couple of weeks.
So much to look forward to, but that's a wrap for our race coverage here today. From Sebring International Raceway, for Amanda, Calvin, and our entire team, my name is Ryan Marine. Thanks so much for tuning in. So long for now. Podium celebrations underway at Sebring, and we'll be recognizing the top 3 in all 3 classes for our final race of the day, Pirelli GT4 America. Strong runs all across the board to be recognized. And always special to stand on the podium, but when you do it at a place like Sebring with so much history, you think of the other drivers that have stood in this position over the years. That adds a little bit of extra luster to the achievement.
Oh, it's a special place. You know, you can name them off in terms of the iconic venues, but Sebring has a special place in history. It's such a unique circuit. It doesn't change. The bumps only just get a little bit bigger each year. So to come back here and win a race is amazing for some of the guys and people who are seeing Victory Lane for the first time. Great drive on your resume. A special talking point later in life.
There you see the top 3 in the AM class, and right there at the center, Charlie Postins and James Clay. Big smile on their face. And to cap off their championship 3 races early, to do so with a win, there's the selfie to celebrate doing it at Sebring. But to do so running inside the top 10 overall, well inside the top 10 overall as an AM class entry. I mean, how impressive is that?
Well, I think they've been impressive all year, but I think Charlie's qualifying performance this morning and then a run up in the top 5 overall was just immense, and they wanted to do it in style. It frees them up for the rest of the year by sealing the deal early. But yeah, I mean, it's all about the combination. When you get to these driver pairings, it's the combination of speed, and they certainly have it in terms of the AM class with those 2 drivers.
You see Rob Walker, Alex Filsinger on the right, 3rd place in the AM class. Nelson Calle, Juan Martinez on the other side for the RS1 team. And talking to the RS1 guys, maybe they haven't been in a position where we can always sing their praises, but that duo, I've been told, is quite strong and have some big aspirations ahead of them. So excited to see what the future looks like for them. But of course, the tandem of the hour is this one. Charlie Postins and James Clay, not just race winners, but champions as well, with still 3 races left on the calendar. Next up, we'll be bringing up the Pro-Am podium, I suspect. What a phenomenal battle that was all throughout the race. Certainly there at the end with Andy Lee charging during his stint to erase a deficit that was into double digits when he got started.
Right.
And just kept putting down flying lap after flying lap. Ultimately found himself, a tenth of a second shy of a big race win. How I don't know. On one hand, it's a remarkable accomplishment just to get that close, right? But to come that close and come that short, just by that little margin, boy, that has to be a tough one to sleep on tonight.
It does, but, you know, it's all about the competitiveness of the program. I mean, they've just come on so strong this year, and they seem to get stronger and stronger. And if they return next year, look out. They're going to be the championship favorites, I would think.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, definitely, with the improvement we've seen from Elias. He's another one of these guys. We've talked about it over the past couple of seasons, some of these success stories in Pirelli GT4 America where drivers will make a big jump one year to the next, and he seems to have done exactly that.
I think Andy Lee's got a new lease on life, getting this second opportunity, but another opportunity with his racing career and grabbing it with both hands, fully vested in the program.
In second place in the number 8 Flying Lizard Motorsports, Aston Martin. Let's hear it for Elias Sabo and Andy Lee. On the top step of the podium from the number 55 accelerating performance machine, Moisey Oretsky and Justin Piscatel.
Podium finishers in the Pro-Am class acknowledged and make their way up onto the stage.
See those trophies.
Good run today for Schwest and Povaledo. A little bit under the radar, I think it has to be said. But Ross had a good first stint. Seemed like he had a good day going in GT America earlier today, too.
It went sideways at the end there, didn't it?
Yep, it did. He was not alone in that, though. There was chaos at the end of that GT4 race, much like there was here.
I still don't really know what happened there on that last lap.
Yeah, we got a little recon to do tonight to try and piece all that together, that's for sure. And maybe our Amanda Busick has an update for us. We'll find out here in a second. Champagne spray has begun in Victory Circle at Sebring. 6 happy gentlemen up there celebrating a podium in one of the iconic venues in North America.
That was a spectacular run there. You talked about 10th of a second at the line. Justin used every ounce of experience. Went down an extra gear, slowed Andy up, and then just did a big burst of acceleration to try and get to the stripe and just pipped him at the line.
Did get an update from Amanda on what happened at the end of this race. And evidently it was some kind of mechanical failure for McAleer, and the gearbox went into neutral right as he came through the final corner. In some respects, unlucky because he was that close to winning. But if you think about it, if that had happened a few corners earlier, they don't
lost a ton of position.
Exactly. They don't just lose the one. And that then becomes a much different story when we're talking about where the championship stands going into the race tomorrow with just 3 rounds to go.
Yeah, I think unofficially it's 40-point spread now.
Very interesting. I'm curious how they're going to look at that, but there is at least the potential to look at it from a glass half full perspective. Could have been a whole lot worse. And it kind of goes to show, too, we were wondering, why was Zach Anderson fighting so hard with the 2 Pro-Am cars behind him when he was 3rd in silver, not fighting with them for position? But that's why you keep pushing, because he came within a few seconds of passing McAleer there at the end. And if he had let them by, there wouldn't have ever been a shot at that.
Yeah, you never know. I think for Piscatella, if he had lost that race, he would probably been having a chat with Zach here tonight.
True. There is Zach on the right. Austin Smith on the left. Austin making the jump from the touring car ranks to GT4 here this year.
These 2 boys are taking it on the chin.
Yeah.
Still smiling, but
yeah, wondering what might have been, though. And now you got to hope that it's something that can be easily repaired.
That's a great point, yeah.
Before tomorrow. We've talked about it all season. The class is not that big, the silver class, usually 6-7 cars. So even on a less than stellar day, you're not likely to give up too much in the points as long as you finish, as long as you go 70%. But if you have to miss a race for whatever reason or drop out early, that's when you can make a big hit, take a big hit. And I certainly hope that the RS1 team has enough time and whatever parts are required to make sure that car is in the fight for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, these guys who won today, the Conquest pair, they really need to go on a tear. They need to sweep the table all the way through and really then hope that the RS1 team should have some misfortune as well. So, but they're in with a shout still.
Yep, with the way it went today, they can still cling to that hope. And I'm sure that's exactly what they will do. Just 3 races to go in the Pirelli GT4 America season. Round 2 of the weekend coming up tomorrow here from Sebring. That's a wrap for us here today. Hope you join us for a full day of SRO America action from Sebring International Raceway tomorrow.